Hi, I'm Bybreen Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. Welcome back to another episode, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me, and for those who are regulars, great to see you again. And feel free to subscribe to my channel. So in this episode, I'm looking at Venus retrograding through Gemini. This week we're seeing a major shift in terms of the cosmic clock because there are 3 retrogrades. We've got Saturn, which happened yesterday. We've got Gemini, that's happening on May the 13th, and then we have Jupiter happening on May the 14th. So lots of activity going on in the cosmos that's shaping our lives. So when we're dealing with Venus, we've got 2 faces of Venus. We've got the Venus, which is really about, the concept of love and the demonstration of it. That will be, Venus if it was retrograding or actually being placed in Taurus. And then we've got the concept of harmony and love and equality and justice, which is really shown by the Libran side, or the air qualities that demonstrates this sense of Venusian ideals. And so we've got Venus in Gemini, and in Gemini we've got a duality going on here because, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and so we've got the 2 faces. There's this flexibility. The reason being is because Gemini is a mutable sign. And when we're looking at Venus here, what we're really being called to look at is, what do we value? What do we really value in terms of our identity, in terms of what is pleasurable, in terms of what is beautiful? And particularly in Gemini, it's around, your words, your knowledge, your communication ability. Gemini wants to be sharing ideas and ideals with other people. It's in a very kind of fluid way. However, now that Venus is actually retrograding back, it's a time for you to really think about what is it that you stand for, what is it that you really value. Do you have a core set of values by which you live your life by? Because if you do, then your decision-making process for your whole life becomes so much easier. You won't be pulled into contentious situations because you're clear on what you stand for. But what tends to happen for so many people is that A, they're unsure about what their value base is, or they're afraid to live out their values because if they do, then somebody may not love them anymore. Or there's this sense of confusion around their values because the values have been lived out or dictated to or expected from, ancestral values, community values, socioeconomic, political values. Societal values, and so therefore you're sort of left in this position where I'm not quite sure what I stand for, but you really need to be. Reason being is because Venus is actually a supporter of the Sun, and the Sun is about our core identity, and our core identity is reflected by the things that we value. And if you don't know what you value, or if you've been living your life based on other people's values, then there's a very weak internal framework that holds you all together. And another problem is that the fear of actually making decisions about what you value is the fear of making a wrong choice, the bad choice, and can you live with the actual consequences of it? So therefore, for some people, they'd rather not actually make a decision. What then happens is that your power, what you do is you may tend to cede your power to other people to make decisions for you. As I said, it could be family, it could be your boss, it could be husband, wife, society, or the government, because we've got this constitutional relationship with our government. So therefore governments make decisions for us. Now let's situate that in our present climate. So we've got the pandemic going on with COVID-19, and obviously governments have a place and a right to be sharing with us in terms of good practice. But if we cede all of our powers and all of our decisions to governments, whether we're in a crisis situation or not, what we could then find is actually we're beginning to live into a totalitarian state, which then could be a projection of what could happen in the future, where we've got Jupiter conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, which will be towards the end of the year, beginning of next. And so with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, think about it. Jupiter is about the global perspective. Saturn is about authority, and Aquarius is about the collective. And so what we might find is that the more that we cede our power, and as I say, obviously governments have a place in our lives, but the more that we do not define what it is that we stand for, and the more that we cede that power or give that right away to others, we could find that we're operating, we're living, as I say, in totalitarian environments, which then we are governed by, you know, it's not only a one-party state, it will be like a one-party world, because where you've got Jupiter conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, you've got this supra organisation that could be managing the world. So it could take a very macro perspective in terms of, you know, global trends and the way that we should all be operating may or may not have its place. But then actually if we start to get down into the detail of it, that means there's going to be a potential dictation of the way we must live our lives as opposed to the choices that we have in our life. And so with Venus retrograding through Gemini, it's an opportunity for you to be thinking about your core identity and what it is that you stand for. Are you going to come out of Venus retrograding Gemini as a voiceless person, or are you going to come out with it having a greater understanding of what your inner narrative is? And the inner narrative sets the foundation in which you are then able to go out into the world, because usually, or ordinarily I should say, with Venus going through Gemini, because it's about the exchange of ideas and ideals, there could be this externalization. You're looking for other people to validate who you are and what it is that you think, and you feel great because, you know, you're having your ego massaged because Venus backs the Sun. However, shifting the balance, you should be looking at it the other way around. Actually, the more solid a foundation I can build internally means that when I'm engaging with other people, it will lessen any kind of confusion because you're clear about what it is that you bring. If you don't follow your natal Venus, and your natal Venus is about validation, and then what it reflects is this sense of a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-love. And if you have a lack of any of those things, and there's a weakness, an inherent weakness in terms of the structures that underpin your life, you're going to bring that confusion into your relationships, and that's the other side of Venus. So this is a wonderful opportunity for each and every one of us to reflect over what our values are. Do we need to shift them in any particular way? Understand the reason why you would need to shift them. That's where you'd be bringing in the other side of the other sign that Mercury rules, which is Virgo. So although Gemini is air and Virgo is earth, it's Mercury that rules the two of them. So you want to be bringing in a level of discernment about the information that you're imbibing, because Venus in Gemini is about this innate love of words and communication and knowledge. Where are you getting your knowledge from? Where are you getting your information from? What sense are you making of the information that you're receiving, that you're imbibing, that you're reflecting on? That's what Venus retrograding through Gemini is calling on you to do. The more you do that, the more you anchor yourself, the more that you have clarity, which leads to your own individuation, is the easier, as I say, that it is for you to have relationships that flow. They're more harmonious because you're bringing clarity in terms of who you are and what you stand for. So that's it, beautiful people. Nice, short and sweet. Venus going through Gemini, it's retrograding. Pause, reflect on the internal story. What is it that goes on between the 6 inches between both of your ears? What's that personal narrative that keeps churning away in the background day in, day out? Is it enhancing your identity, or is it undermining the set of values that you want to build your life on? So that's it, beautiful people. Please put your comments and ideas and any thoughts you've got in the comment box below. Please subscribe to my channel and share it with other people in your network. And I will see you again on the next episode, where I'll be looking at Jupiter retrograding through Capricorn. Stay well, and I'll see you soon. Bye.